Wholeness is not a destination. It's a decision made in every moment. You choose to stop betraying yourself. You're not here to become someone else. You're here to become all of yourself. Even the inconvenient parts, even the unruly ones. Especially the ones that make people uncomfortable, because those are the ones closest to your truth. And the truth, it's not polished. It's not always pretty. It doesn't ask permission, but it liberates you. That's what happens when you stop avoiding the parts you've labeled unacceptable. You stop living in fragments. You stop asking others to complete you. You begin walking into rooms, no longer wondering if you belong, because you brought your whole self with you. This is the difference between surviving and living, because life doesn't respond to what you pretend to be. It responds to what you're willing to embody. The more you embrace your full emotional range, the more your energy becomes magnetic. Not because you're louder, but because you're real. And realness is rare, it's sacred, it's disruptive. Not because it hurts others, but because it reminds them of what they've been avoiding in themselves. So let them be uncomfortable. You weren't born to be agreeable. You were born to be alive. You weren't made to shrink. You were made to speak with a voice that carries, not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. You weren't made to settle. You were made to break patterns, to cut cords, to walk away from legacies of silence, and start new ones built on authenticity, courage, and truth. But you can't start a new legacy while wearing the masks of the old one. Take them off. Take off the mask that says, I'm fine. Take off the mask that says, I don't care. Take off the mask that says, I have to do it all alone. Because you don't. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to feel deeply. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to say, I don't know who I am without the mask, but I'm ready to find out. And that is where the real life begins. It begins the moment you stop chasing certainty and start choosing integrity. The moment you stop performing and start practicing presence. The moment you stop needing to be understood and start understanding yourself. You don't need more answers. You need a deeper relationship with the parts of you that hurt, because those parts don't need to be silenced. They need to be seen. They need to know they're no longer exiled, that they get a seat at the table now, that they get a voice in your decisions, that they are no longer threats, but guides. And when that shift happens, when the inner war ends, a strange and beautiful peace begins to rise. You don't have to fake calm anymore. You become calm, not because life is easy, but because you are anchored. Not because nothing hurts, but because you're not afraid to feel it anymore. Not because you have no shadow, but because you've learned to dance with it. This is not about fixing yourself. It never was. It's about remembering yourself, because you are not a puzzle that needs more pieces. You are not a broken thing that needs to be hidden. You are a mosaic of everything you've been through. The pain, the beauty, the rage, the longing, the wisdom. Every scar you carry is a doorway. Every wound is a chapter in the story of how you became real. And no, it hasn't been easy. You've walked through shadows that most people never saw. You've smiled through pain so heavy it nearly split your chest open. You've lost versions of yourself to keep the peace. And yet somehow you are still here, still breathing, still becoming, still willing to face yourself, not just the parts they applauded, but the parts they rejected. And that is courage. Not the kind they put on posters, not the kind that shouts, but the kind that whispers, I will no longer abandon myself, because the cost of hiding is too high now, because you're tired of editing your essence, because you're done building lives that don't feel like home. You're ready to reclaim the parts of you that used to scare you, to let grief teach you where the healing needs to happen, to let rage become your clarity, to let desire become your direction, to let the full weight of your truth rise and reshape your world, not in chaos, in completion. Because this is what it means to be whole. to walk through the fire of your own story and emerge with eyes wide open, to see yourself, all of yourself, and not look away, to hold your darkness without shame and your light without arrogance, to move through the world not asking for permission to be, but giving others permission because you are. That's the quiet revolution. That's the shift the world needs. Not louder voices, truer ones. Not bigger personas. Braver hearts. You're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing it for everyone who's still hiding, still shrinking, still waiting for someone to go first. Be the one who goes first. Be the one who says, yes, I have shadows and they no longer scare me. Yes, I've been broken and I built something sacred from the pieces. Yes, I carry wounds and they have taught me how to love more deeply. This is the work. This is the path. This is the return. Not to who you were, but to who you've always been. Carl Jung was right. The life you want, the peace you seek, the power you crave. It's not in the light you chase. It's in the shadow you avoid. The one whispering, I've been holding your truth this whole time. Are you ready to come home? So here's your invitation. Go back for yourself. Back to the child who learned silence. Back to the teenager who buried their passion. Back to the adult who forgot they were allowed to feel. Go back, pick them up, hold them close, and walk forward, not as half a person, but as a whole one. Because when you are whole, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be present. And when you are present, you don't follow the world, you lead it. Not with force, but with truth. Not with power, but with peace. Because there is nothing more powerful than a human being who is no longer hiding. That's you. Now, not tomorrow, not someday. Now, welcome back. You don't need to chase a new version of yourself. You need to reclaim the parts you abandoned just to survive. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not behind. You are whole if you're willing to turn inward and face what you've hidden. Carl Jung was right. The life you want is buried in the parts you hide. And now, you have the strength to dig.